Peakwork has been part of Constellation Software for the last 2 years, so it has been acquired by Constellation Software. And the Juniper Group also belongs to Constellation Software and is definitely a group worth paying a lot of attention to. We are now honored to welcome the CEO of Juniper Group, who has joined us all the way from Mallorca, so he definitely traveled more than 2,000 kilometers to be here. And he will share some insight into the rapid growth and the strategic vision of one of the most dynamic players in the travel technology sector. So get ready to discover how the Juniper Group is shaping the future of travel distribution through innovation, through scale, and deep industry expertise, of course. So please welcome with a warm applause, una cálida bienvenida a Jaime Sastre. Hi.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Manuel, for having me here. It's a great location, a great event, great public. I think we're going to be very entertained today, and hopefully we'll find out a bunch more things to continue our progress in our journeys. So Manuel asked me if I could talk about a little bit our vision, growth, and what we're doing in technology. So I thought, first of all, I would explain a little bit about where I'm coming from, myself, right? And then how everything evolved from the beginning. So for those who don't know me, I'm the founder of Juniper, travel distribution platform that I started back in 2003 in Mallorca, to then fastly grow into international markets. I'm a computer science guy, so I studied computer science in the University of Balearic Islands. Then I did some research in North Carolina State in the US. For then I actually went to get an MBA out of Berkeley. And what I do like is work and spend family time. That could be probably my whole life. It's like just family and work. Then from 2003 to 2014, I grew Juniper, the travel distribution platform. We grew up to be into about 40 countries. And in 2014, I sold it to Constellation Software. And I'll talk a bit more about what that meant. When I met them, I really liked their philosophy of buy and hold forever, or actually supporting those entrepreneurs who would actually want to grow into international markets. Then I became in 2020 a portfolio manager, 5 years after selling the company, to continue doing the same, but helping them doing acquisition. I live in Mallorca, as Angela said, but I also live in Las Vegas. So I spend about 20% of my time in Las Vegas, which is a bit more than 2,000 kilometers away from here. It's a tough life, but my wife lives there, and I have a daughter there, 2 kids in Mallorca, and then I have to fly back and forth quite a lot. I'm super passionate about the travel industry, but also about software. So I've now gotten to know a bunch of other industries always in software. But what I really like is the growth and to see other people around me that continue building their careers. So we are now part of this organization called Constellation Software, which a lot of people don't know about, because the branding of Constellation is not being pushed out. Instead of actually being a large company, it's the addition of around 1,200 software companies that each one of them promotes their brand. So that's why Constellation is not so well known. This comes from an idea, a guy called Mark Leonard. Back in '96, he was a venture capitalist banker. He was studying a lot in different industries, and he realized that software companies, especially that were in vertical markets, were quite profitable. But those markets were not large enough to have those companies become public. So his idea was to raise some money, start buying companies and holding on to them forever, and when he would be large enough, then he would go public. And that's what he did in 2006. In 2006. So right now in 2025, we're $75 billion in market capitalization. We do have 6 operating groups, and under those operating groups, we have different portfolios and sub-portfolios that continue acquiring companies. One of the numbers that I like to point out is that we have a 92% retention rate, which means means that 92% of the key management and founders we acquire stay with us and continue working on their companies or being portfolio managers, just like myself or Manuel here have been continuing running their companies. We have sustained long-term growth. We will be larger and larger every year just because of a simple reason. We have a mandate of deploying all the capital that we generate, all the cash flows. So next year, we will just be the same companies as this year, plus all the new acquired. And since we're so many companies, we can have some companies that don't do as well, but the majority of them will continue performing. So our compounded growth is about 21%. Annual growth, and our share price had actually followed the same path. So it's a mimic of our net revenues, is what you see. When I sold it, it was in 2014, roughly $1.7 billion in revenues. Last year, we surpassed $10 billion in revenues, and we generated about $2.2 billion of free cash flow. That's profit after tax. And that number for us is very important because this is our target that we need to get to into acquisitions and investment in R&D for organic growth. That's what we believe, that we need to make our companies stronger and stronger, and we need to keep on buying new ones, right? So we are called like a buy and hold forever investor, which means that when you see a company acquired by us, it's no longer going to be for sale ever. And we've done that with over 30 years with 1,200 companies. It's kind of our philosophy, and even if the company doesn't perform or doesn't work well, we will never sell that, right? So our focus now is to continue acquiring those companies. If we go back to when I sold it in 2014, in the group, there was a couple of companies bought every year. I bought Kangaroo in 2017, which is a small competitor of Juniper in Brazil for that area, and we thought it would be really interesting to have that software and help them grow elsewhere. And in 2020, we bought TSI, which is a software company as well that works with large GDSs. And by the time I said I could promote someone to run Juniper, the business unit, we call it business units, and then become a full-time portfolio manager and start my own M&A team. So that's what I did in 2020. And in 2021, we were able to acquire 2 companies. 2022, we acquired 6 companies. In 2023, 4 companies, and so on, until today, and that we've acquired 33 companies in total under our portfolio. And we have probably around 4 or 5 more this year to acquire. Some of them are already in diligence. So that's kind of, so we invest in people and technology for the very long haul, right? You never divest our businesses. And then we have a team, we call it the Dream Team, that continues growing. Manuel is part of them, Juan Mateos that runs Juniper as well. So we have a bunch of people that join by acquisition or because we hire them, or they get promoted from within because they learn. And then basically, we continue running those companies in a very decentralized way. So it means Manuel has full autonomy to do whatever he wants. What we do is we pitch them the best practices, we share synergies, and we share benchmarking, so ratios within the rest of the companies within our group. We put a lot of corporate events that they can attend and learn from how others run software companies. Not all are in travel, but we have a large number. Now, 15 companies now in our portfolio are in travel. Peakwork is one of them. I could go through all of that, but I don't think it's worth to spend our time. And you can actually take a look at our website and see which every one of these companies do. They go from solving a travel distribution platform to dynamic packaging, producing and distribution, to mapping, to connecting to cruises like IST, or Roybos that does a marketplace to connect hotels directly to tour operators, or TSI that helps Sabre, Travelport, Delta, and Marriott and others with legacy technologies. So remember that there's still large companies out there like Sabre and Travelport that are running on TPF systems, IBM mainframe, though that's still a profitable business and they need those products. We also have Travel Tech that actually is out of the UK. So we try to look for companies that actually complement what we do, whether it is in a competitor in a different geography, or it's an adjacency that can help create more business through synergies. Alturas, for example, is a company out of Austria and Switzerland that does software for ski resorts. Sometimes if you go into one of these ski resorts and there is a slalom that you can be recorded in a movie, they do that. They do those apps for the phones where you can actually find out how many slopes you went through, what was the number of kilometers you skied, and all that. Autotech is a channel manager for hotels who want to distribute into the tour operators and also distribute directly through their web pages. And Nome does a lot of incoming software for different destinations. Interes out here, Germany, that's actually supervised by Manuel, does flight connectivity. ResMagic is for cruises as well in software. And Yigo, it's also connectivity for flights, but more focused on Latin America and Spain. And so when we invest, we look for something. And I just kind of wanted to share with you what's our investment criteria. We've been compared many times to Warren Buffett, or at least our founder. And what he used to say is that price is really what you pay, but the value is really what you get. Our founder, which has a very peculiar looking, Mark Leonard, what he says is that over the long term, these stock returns, so the share prices of our companies, will be determined largely by capital allocation decisions of the CEOs. So all this capital we're generating, how are we going to use it to create higher returns? Is it going to be more investment in new products, like Manuel just did with 2 new products he's launching for tour operators? Is it going to be acquiring companies? And in which type? Who are you going to trust that capital so that those returns will be above industry average, which is what we're always looking for, right? So we think that we invest in businesses with untapped potential. They have good products, but that they're not run well. And the reason why they're not run well is because the entrepreneurs have passion about their industries and about software, but sometimes they forget about taking a step back and looking at the whole industry and understanding really well how to run that business. And this is where we come in, because we have a lot of experience, more than 30 years of actually running software businesses and a bunch of people ready to go and teach that. When I sold Juniper to Constellation, the first 6 to 12 months for me were like a second MBA. This time, the MBA was practical one. It was not based on papers that I needed to resolve. It was real companies that were showing to me and real people who were telling me what was going on, how they solved it. And I could apply that knowledge to Juniper. And we switched to be high growth and quite profitable, right? So we look at different criteria when we invest. And I think sometimes what we do is we kind of classify companies by 3 different parameters. Software companies always. Size, how much revenue do they have? Growth, are they growing fast? And then profitability, right? And when we look at all that, good and well-run companies will have that intersection where they grow fast, they're large, and they're profitable. So those are normally top-performing companies, and we do like them. But we also like companies running businesses, then we can materially improve. So businesses that either have 1 of these 3 qualifications or 2 of them. If they have 3 of them and they're top-performing companies, we like them. They're normally much more expensive, much more complicated to buy, because we have a lot of competition from private equities or leveraged buyouts or venture capitalists, right? If they have these 3 components. But we have something that all these other people don't have. Private equities can't offer a home forever. They are designed in another way. They're designed to invest in a company for 5 to 8 years and then exit. And they maybe sometimes can pay a bit more, but they cannot offer a home forever because they have to return their gains to their investors. In our case, we don't return our gains to our investors because the gains are made by the stock price. So investing in Constellation is basically where you invest in what we do. Right? And what we do, we've become, of course, professionals of acquisitions. And the way we have analyzed companies in 2 ways, right? The fundamental analysis and then the quantitative analysis. The fundamental analysis is basically understanding the business and the industry they're in. potential future changes that are going to happen? Are they, by looking at the 5 forces from Porter, we can actually know whether there are going to be some tailwinds or some headwinds. Are we going to be able to model this as a growing company, more profitable? It's going to be easy for us to gain more customers. Are these customers sticky? Is there any customer concentration? Are they consolidating in the industry? And we might lose customers just because of consolidation of our customers. So we look at a bunch of these parameters and we try to model those companies to the future to understand if this is a good investment or not, right? And also we leverage that based on our past acquisitions. We know what happened with the other companies we acquired. And then we do a quantitative analysis. We're based out of data, and this removes a little bit this emotional bias, right? It all happens to us then when we talk to an entrepreneur and he tells about his company with all the passion and we're so excited. We want to acquire that company. We like it so much. It's going to be great in our portfolio. But then we need to look at the reality, how much can we pay for this? Are we going to get a good return on this company? And these decisions is what we think those CEOs and portfolio managers have to become better and better. Some people call it common sense. I like it to call it more good judgment. When you do investments, whether it's in your own company or acquiring other companies, you have to have good judgment and be responsible for that capital that you invest. So finally, we're shaping the future of travel distribution by doing 3 things: innovation, scale, and industry expertise. How do we do that? We do continuous investment in R&D to have the best technology for our customers in each one of our companies, but that's not enough. We nurture innovative companies out there that are doing things different than us, and then we convince them. Now, at Juniper Group, we have 16 people doing business development. All they do is talk to each one of them, 250 to 300 companies, and try to understand what they do. When they find something interesting, they bring it to me, to Manuel, to someone within the organization, so we can learn a bit more, and if it's interesting, then we engage on a discussion for a potential acquisition. And then, of course, we hire and retain the best people, both in the travel industry and software. I think that's kind of the best strategy we can follow to continue innovating and scaling the travel industry. So, as long-term partners to all of you, and we care on the long term for everything, not only for our companies, but for our employees, and much more for our customers. That's why our customers normally like it when it's Constellation that buys the company, because what they value is those future relationships or stickiness to our products. So they know we're going to take good care of them because we want them forever. We're not trying to just change the company for a few years and then sell it. So as long-term partners committed to building this enduring value, we believe that investing in this innovation, this vision, and that sustainable growth, we're not just transforming travel technology, right? We're shaping a future that it's worth holding on to forever. Okay. Thank you.